Hello everyone, welcome to our webinar today. This is Glenn Kendall with Concourse Hosting, and you are at Tableau Paint by Numbers. Today we're going to be talking about Razor's Edge queries and mapping them. For those of you who are new to GoToWebinar, this is an introduction to the control panel. We will be taking questions during the webinar, so as you think of questions, you can go ahead and enter those in the space that's provided. What we recommend is you go ahead and pop that section out, the question section out. You can just click on it and pop it out, and then click on the red arrow button at the top to minimize the rest of the control panel, and you'll probably just not only want to minimize it, but just move it to a different part of the screen out of the way. As you'll see in a minute, it'll be in the way otherwise. So this is me, Glenn Kendall, there on the right, and also joining me today is Hale Kendall.
Hi, everyone.
Hale has been working here for about 2 years now. 2.5 years. Started out doing as a Tableau analyst and is currently working on marketing.
So this is just a short overview of our schedule for today. So the queries we're going to be working with are specifically related to gifts. So only working with gift data today. And our first step is going to show you how we're actually translating these RE queries into something that Tableau can read and explaining our process behind that. And then we're going to show you how we're using these queries as filters within Tableau and the different things you can do with filters. And then we're going to have a little bit of an interactive session where we're actually going to give all of you a little login to one of our Tableau server sites. So the workbook we're going to make during the webinar today, we will publish there and then give all of you a chance to work off of that and interact with it and share the things you create.
Exactly, exactly. So every time we do one of these paint by numbers, we tend to take a different approach to how we, are looking at the data. Sometimes we export the data directly out of the SQL backend. Sometimes we'll go into Razor's Edge. We'll run a query and then do an export on that. Other times, like today, we're going to be connecting to some Tableau data sources that we created that are on the Tableau server itself. And we do this just to show you what the different options are and that it doesn't have to be one way, that you can do this many ways. For this particular session today, though, you need to kind of take a step back and think holistically, if you will, about how not only you're going to be building things in Tableau, but then how the users are going to be interacting with it. Because right now, for example, saying Razor's Edge, you get a Razor's Edge query. You're the one that's building the query. You're adding all those fields and whatnot, and then maybe you're doing a report and publishing that out to them. What we're going to do is take a step back and say, hey, what kinds of things are you doing in query? Can you actually push out to the user and give them that capability? Okay.
So let's just jump right into Tableau here. So step one, whenever you open up Tableau Desktop, which is the building powerhouse within all of Tableau products, you want to connect to some data. So today we're actually going to connect straight to Tableau server because we've already made a Tableau server data source. So just going to organize by data source really quickly and find query gift, constituent, and B9 records is the one we're going to use today. So we're going to connect to that. And I always like to change the view into just a list, just so we can see all of the data we have. We can see the different tables that we've made that are containing these queries. And then we're going to jump right into our sheet. So over here on the left, I'm going to pop this out just a little bit more, is we can actually see our data source up here And then these are all of the tables contained within this data source. B9 records is a kind of a hodgepodge of a bunch of stuff that we have made ourselves, but the other two tables, constituent information and gift information, are straight out of RE. So if we just open up these tables, and I'm just going to do this very quickly here, we can see that there's a lot of data contained in these. So it's very helpful that they're organized by table here. And if we drop down to measures, same thing, notice that it's much smaller here in the measures. And the reason for this is if you think of how Tableau has separated the data out into dimensions and measures, we can think of dimensions as categories of things. So name, address, gift, date, all kind of defaults, or just type of gift, all defaults into dimensions here. And then measures are, of course, just numbers, things to fill in those categories. Tableau also does another form of separation, which is blue and green. Now, 99% of the time, dimensions are going to be blue and measures are going to be green, but they are continuous values down in the measures and discrete values up in the dimensions. Looks like we have a question coming in here, which is when I go to Tableau server, what is the login and what is the server name? All right, we have a very excited participant here.
We'll get to that. So hang on a little bit. We'll send you the details of how to log in here when we get to that part. So hang on about 15 minutes and we'll get to that part.
Yeah. Awesome. So I'd like to give that overview of dimensions and measures just to make sure that we're all on the same page and everyone understands how Tableau organizes the data and how Tableau kind of thinks about your data. So we're just going to start in, since this is, of course, mapping. I'm going to take latitude and longitude. So if Tableau recognizes anything within your data that has like a geographic value attached to it, it'll put a little globe. There's a little globe symbol here with the latitude and longitude. And when Tableau sees that, oh yeah, we have a zip code, or we have a state, or we have a country in here, it automatically generates latitude and longitude for you. And so just by double-clicking, latitude and longitude will move to the rows and columns, and we have a map generated for us. Today, I'm just going to have us look at a zip code here. And because as you've seen before, there's kind of a lot of information up here in the dimensions. I don't want to have to sift through all of that just to find zip code. So I'm going to use this little search icon right up here in line with dimensions and just search for the field by name. I can just type in zip and zip code will show up. It'll also show you what table it's under, which I just think is fairly helpful. So I'm dragging this to the marks card. And if you've attended any of our previous webinars, you might remember that we've mentioned within the marks, especially within mapping, this is how you are visually defining your map in this case, but really just anything you build in Tableau. So columns and rows are what type of data we're working with, but marks is how we want this to show up. So right now I'm just having these sit as little points here, but we could change this to being a bit of a filled map. It'll take a moment for it to load, and you can see that, all right, it kind of fills in a bit, but because we're so zoomed out, it's a little bit difficult to really understand what we're looking at. And if you ever decide that, hey, I don't really like what I'm looking at, Tableau has a wonderful undo function with virtually unlimited number of clicks. So if you make a lot of mistakes, you can very easily hit undo. All right, so I'm going to now delete zip code here. And we are going to jump right into adding filters. So to start with, I'm going to bring up gift type. We're going to take gift type and drop it here on the filters. So anytime you add a filter while working in Tableau Desktop, this pop-up menu here will appear. And it's basically asking you to specify what you want this filter to do. So for the purposes of today's webinar, we're just going to be working here on the General tab. And this is really just specifying what do you want to show up. So we can see the different types of gifts in here: cash, pledge, recurring gift, if stock. We also have write-off. So I'm just going to hit all, select everything. If there are specific things we don't want to show up right off the bat, we can always uncheck them. Think there's anything we don't want to show up today?
I think let's let the user make the choice.
All right. So we're going to leave all of these checked by default. You can hit apply first just to see that it does in fact appear. We hit OK. So nothing really changed by adding that. Simply because we have everything selected, nothing was told to change. But I want to be able to give users the ability to change what gift type they're seeing. So you can go over to filters and hit either the drop-down arrow or just right-click on it. They do the same thing. We can show the filter over here on the right-hand side.
So this is a case where if you have your go-to webinar control panel over there on the right, you might want to drag it and move it someplace else because this whole right pane is going to be for filters. So this is the kind of thing that you would be doing in query, right? You'd be doing things like selecting a gift type. And so this is a really exciting capability that we've added to Tableau. So this is something that you can only really get through us. If you want to go ahead over there on the left highlight and get rid of the search for gift type,
yeah,
and then just maybe open that constituent information dimensions. So these are fields over there that we've defined. So we're pulling this data out of your Razor's Edge, and this is a new feature we have that mimics the Razor's Edge query. So all of these things, if you're familiar with query, these are the things that you would have for filters that are available in query. Okay.
Awesome. So now that we have gift type shown up over here on the right-hand side, I'm just going to leave this alone for right now. We'll get back to gift type in a moment here, but I just want to add a few more of these filters so we actually have something a bit more to work with. It's going to bring us gift date. Now this is one of these situations where it's going to start as a dimension, but we might have to do a few modifications to it. So we see here that we have the option to choose relative date or range of dates. Now the range of dates is currently bolded because this is what Tableau recommends we do. We can, of course, change that to something else, but I like Tableau's recommendation here. I'm going to do range of dates. And the reason I'm choosing range, because if we chose more of a relative date, we would have to specifically block out, we go to years, for example, how many years we're talking about. Do we want previous year? Do we want this year? Would we want the last 3 years? And then we have to go in and change that every single time we want to change the range that we're looking at. That's too much work for me. Everyone's going to want to look at something different, and there's too many steps involved. So instead, we're going to choose range of dates. So Tableau defaults just to the earliest possible date it can find and the latest possible date it can find. I think 2002 is a little early. I think maybe we can do something like if I can type, that would be helpful. I want to do something like 2011. I think past 5 years would be good. And we'll start with January 1st. If we hit apply here, notice by hitting apply, we can see some of these dots here disappeared. That's good. We know that the filter is actually working. And same thing as before, we want to show this filter And I like that Tableau defaulted it up top. I think it's best to, just for usability's sake, that, yeah, we want to sort on date first and then the gift type. And what's great about this, the range of dates here, is that anyone can change it to any date range they want. You can grab this and drag it, but I find it to be very imprecise and a little bit fidgety. So what I prefer to do is just go up here and you can type in whatever date you want. So I'll bring this back to 1/1/2011. 10/1. Forgot to delete that 0, didn't I? There it is.
So again, what we're doing here is we're recreating the kinds of things you would do in query. So this is just the kinds of things you'd be doing in query, right? If you are selecting a gift date, you're basically just applying a bunch of filters. Okay?
Cool. So we have some dates now. We have a date range. We have a gift type, but we're not really looking at the gift amount. I want to see that. So let us bring up gift amount. Down in the measures. This makes sense. Obviously a number. So once again, this defaults to continuous. So we can pick range of values, or do we want to change this a little bit? I think I don't really care about people who gave nothing or just very, very little. So I want to say they had to give at least $100. If I can type in 100, there we go. All right, a handful of dots. Did a little shifty there. So gift amount. Showing this filter as well. Showing filter just is there for usability. So I find it convenient when I want to make changes here, but when you go out and share this, if you want your users to be able to see something other than the exact view you're providing them, showing the filter as I'm doing here is extremely helpful.
But what if someone wants to see $50 gifts?
They can see $50 and only $50 gifts?
No, just what if they want to go down to $50?
Well, that's easy. So since I have this showing at least, it's going to keep this number as the maximum. So we can go here and change this to just 50. So now we have $50 as the minimum.
Okay.
AKA circle appeared. But if people want to see more of a date range, they're a little bit locked out of that right now.
Or gift range?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Gift range, excuse me. See, we have a question coming in here. Did you do this via export to Excel, or are you connecting to SQL table?
Neither. So what we did is we pulled the data out of SQL. It's kind of like a data warehouse. So the question is, they're wondering how we created this. Did we do this via export to Excel, or are we connecting to a SQL table in a data warehouse? What we did was we connect directly to a Razor's Edge database. In this case, it was the sample database. And we made a special database, and we pulled all that data out and put it in the special database. The reason we put it in the special database is so that we can recreate that same format that's available within Razor's Edge. Because there's a disconnect. If you go and look at what's in SQL, it's not laid out the same way as the interface is in Razor's Edge. So we made a table that more mimics the interface of Razor's Edge and put the data in there. After that, this is more of a technical question, but we took that data and we made something called a Tableau Extract. And what that is basically all the data then lives within Tableau server itself. So at the beginning of the webinar, Holly connected to Tableau server. So she's not connecting to SQL. She's not connecting to an Excel. The data is actually living in Tableau server as an extract. And then we refresh that extract on a daily basis or monthly or however often makes sense, depending on what you want. And so it really is all living within Tableau.
And a follow-up question to that. Did you rename the fields or use alias under data page? Alias is just a way to edit the names of fields within Tableau itself, for those who do not know.
Yeah, and you always have the option, regardless of what we name things, you can, name it something that you like instead. So you have that option. And so another question was asked, do you refresh the data daily or weekly? It really depends. If you are hosted with us, then we refresh the data on a daily basis. If you're not hosted with us, we get a database backup from you, and however often you send us a database backup, it takes us about 24 hours after that to do a refresh.
And how do you refresh it?
We run it through our magic process that I just described, that is pulling the data out of your Razor's Edge and putting it in this format, and then creating a Tableau Extract and putting it all in this nice pretty format that looks like Razor's Edge query. Somebody asked, I thought you need country in addition to postal code, but I see it works with zip alone. In this case, it's not going to show any Canadian zips unless we put Canada down there as well. I don't know if there are Canadian zips in this data.
I do not believe there are, but
yeah,
we can always check that.
But yeah, you would need to put an extra geographic dimension of country on the marks card in order for Tableau to then add that country in there.
We can just do that as an example here. So adding country, I'm not sure if this data source has Canadian data in it or not, so I'm not sure if that changed anything.
Nothing showed up there, so if it is, it's not defined by country. So, somebody else asked, is that something only Tableau does, or would we be able to create and refresh RE data kept in a new database or Tableau server? Well, what we've done is, you could do this yourself. So Tableau, there's nothing within Tableau that is going to put it in this particular format for you, though. So what we're offering is putting it in this format, this familiar format that looks like Razor's Edge query. Yeah, but you can always make your own database, data warehouse, get your own Tableau server, and do it your way. Yeah. So, okay.
Is that all the questions for now?
All right, let's add some more filters.
All right, I believe we were looking at gift amount. Yeah, all right.
You go ahead and since there's so many questions, I'll answer the questions. I'll let you continue to work on the filters there.
All right, so we were on gift amount and demonstrating the fact that I have locked the high end in right now, and as it is, you can only alter the minimum range to give a gift. But if you want to change it after you've already added the filter, you can go up to, here's my mouse, just a little drop-down arrow in line with gift amount, and we can hit Edit Filter here. And we can change this to range of values, or we can say at most, instead of $1 million, we could say $1,000 instead. And now we can set the minimum. We can just drag this up to be 0 to 0. Not going to be what we wanted. So you can also change the maximum, or if you just want to be able to affect both ends, you can drop down to range of values and say anyone between, say, at least $10 into $1,000 is what we're looking at. All right, so from there, we want to get even more specific here and look at region within the United States. I'm going to take region, drop this here, and so the default regions that just we're pulling from RE, we have Canada as a region. We have foreign, which I guess is different than Canada. Mid-Atlantic, Midwest, New England, Northeast, Pacific, Southeast, Southwest. So if we select all, then uncheck null here, we can select all the regions. However, that seemed to have made most of our dots disappear, which just means that within sample data, there's actually a lot of bad data in there. I'll recheck null here and hit apply. Most of the dots, most of our zip codes are not actually attached to a region. So in this particular case, I'll have to leave null checked, but I think region is also a helpful thing to filter on here. So I'm noticing here, I'm going to drag my little questions pane to the other side, that it's getting a little bit crowded over here on the right-hand side. Even though we have gift date and gift amount kind of squished here, there's just too much happening. So I want to change just the display of these filters. So similar to when we were changing gift amount, we can go up to this drop-down arrow and change how the filter works. In this particular case, I want to keep this still multiple values so we can check a bunch of different things, but I'm going to make it into a drop-down instead. That way it's much more compact, but then we can also pop out all the regions if we need them. I'm going to drag a region down here, and I'm going to do the same thing with gift type. All right, so now I want to do something different. I want to be able to sort by generation. I think that sounds pretty cool. Yeah?
Yeah, I think you know, age is one of the options over there, but rather than have to fiddle around with, you know, age brackets and stuff, well, that's what we're really interested in more, is probably like groups, age groups.
Yeah, so in this case, we're going to make a calculated field for generation, and just to save everyone time, we've kind of written out a cheat sheet for that I will copy and paste over. And because we're not calculating on a particular field, we could calculate this on age, but it's actually just a little bit easier to start from scratch in this case. So hitting this little arrow up here in line with dimensions, saying create calculated field, generation. And my cheat sheet on Notepad here. I'll walk us through this once we have it in the calculation. So it's a pretty simple calculation, it's just an if-else-if statement. So we're defining that if they are under 32, they're millennial. Between 32 and 52, they're in Gen X. 52 and 72 is a boomer. And anything older than that is silent generation. So we are going to hit apply, and then OK, we can see generation has popped up outside of all of these tables. Because this is a calculated field, Tableau is just placing it outside of the tables because it didn't come with the tables. And though it may be a little bit hard to see, there is a little equal sign to the left of the ABC string notation here. So this is showing that we did, in fact, calculate this, and it didn't come with the data. So we're taking generation and pulling this over here. And yep, those are the fields we created. I want to select all of them. We're going to show this filter, and I'm going to drag this down at the bottom. All right, so this is, decent here as a multiple values. It's kind of annoying, though, to have to go and click and then deselect each time I want to see a different generation viewed. So what I'm going to do instead is we're going to change this, instead of multiple values, to single values. And I want to make this a slider so it's a little bit like a walkthrough, the different generations here. So we'll start with all, then we can see the kind of patterns of giving contained within each generation. All right, so boomers, fairly active on the East Coast here. A lot of donations coming in. Gen X, a little bit less, Still pretty good. Millennial, not good. Did I count 8 different codes?
We probably just have need to update the sample data. I don't think Blackpot has updated the sample data in a while. So I think we added a few fields in there, but a few gifts rather.
Mm-hmm. And Silent Gen, yeah, a lot of people within here.
And then, you know, it's doing it as far as the order is just doing it alphabetically. You could also change that, the sort order, so it's doing it in terms of times. You could have, you know, millennials first, then Gen X, then Boomer, whatever. You can customize the order that you want those to appear in. So.
Awesome. So we just have a few more filters we're going to walk through here, and then I'll show everyone how we can publish this and let everyone else interact with it. What am I doing next? I think gender would be a good thing to sort on. All right, so we have it popping up in 2 fields here. I'm going to go with the one under constituent information, since this is the one pulled straight out of RE, and the one put in B9 records is one we kind of Frankensteined a bit.
They're probably the same, actually, but.
And then we're just going to hit all. Apply that. Hit OK. And I kind of want to do the same thing with gender that I did with generation. You can do a little walkthrough. All right. I like that quite a bit. Now, giving score. Let's do that. All right, now if I wanted to get really specific with giving score, what we can also do is allow each person who's interacting with this to select which ones they want to see. So there's a couple ways you can do this. One is just to leave this available for them to check and uncheck. But another way is a custom list. So this kind of allows people to just type in the things they want to show up and select. And we'll do fan and VIP. And if they wanted to type in all the values, they can type in all the values, and you can also just remove things in here. Just a good method of customization to allow people to really see what they want to see without having to do so much kind of mindless clicking. And the last filter we're going to add is income. Right. And so income, I actually like that they've kept it here as categories rather than running, just a running total. And the reason is because they have the different income brackets in here. So apply that. I think I'm going to drop this in as a drop-down list, because I really don't like having the scroll bar in here. So instead, we're going to make that a drop-down and bring that over here. Yeah, all right.
Looking good.
I think there are any other filters we want to add to this particular workbook?
Well, we could go crazy. We could sit here and add filters all day.
I'm going to change this one back to...
What we want to do now, though, we want to publish this, and then what we're going to give is you guys an opportunity to interact with it now at a new level, and then you'll be able to to actually save some of the things that you're doing on Tableau server itself, very similarly to how you would save a razor's edge query. So we want to show you how that works. So first thing we need to do is publish this bad boy.
I want to save it first. All right. Good news is we're already signed in Tableau server. So you're signed in to that. We are going to go to Publish Workbook. I'm going to pop out this menu. We do not want to drop it in My Sandbox. We want to drop this in Webinars. And what should we call this guy?
Call it RE Query on a Map.
Add a description?
Sure.
Have fun. All right, since this only has one sheet, we don't really need to change that. I think that's pretty good. That's good. I'm going to select Show Sheets as tabs in case anyone else makes more sheets. I want to be able to have quick access to those. And Publish. So this is now just Tableau going to generate the view for us. And because we're already logged in to Tableau server, it kind of brought us there automatically. So what I'm actually going to do is log out.
Actually, I have another browser window, the IE one there on the left.
Okay. Haha.
Okay, so the website that you're all going to go to, I'm going to type in the chat here.
I'll also highlight it up top here.
Is tableau.concoursehost.com. Okay, so everyone open a web browser and go to tableau.concoursehost.com. All right, I've assigned each one of you your own usernames. So I'm going to go through each one of you here and send you what your username is. So just bear with me while I do that. I have to run through the crowd here and do this for everyone.
All right. In the meantime, I am going to log in. See if I can remember my password. Nope, that was my other password. I think that's the right one. Nope. Let's try one more time.
Actually, you log in as Web 1.
As Web 1?
Are you on the IE?
I am on the IE one. I can log in as Web 1. I need the info for Web 1.
So it'll be Web 1
Okay.
at tabnh.remote. Now this is just for Holly. For all of you, I'm sending you what your usernames are.
But it will be web your number at tabnh.remote. The format stays the same, just the number changes.
All right, almost through the list here. Thank you for your patience. This will be fun. Okay, so everyone should be at this web page. For your username, type in the number I gave you, so it will be, web whatever at tabnh.remote. And then the password I'm typing into the chat window now. So it's capital B, the @ symbol, lowercase nner, 17.
So after you log in, you should all have a screen that looks like this.
Yes, it doesn't matter if you're on a Mac. This is just a web page, so you can log in using any web browser. All right, so once you're in, go ahead and click on the project. You can get at it two ways. You can click on the project there. Up at the top, you can click on Workbooks.
Mm-hmm. So actually, there's more than one way you can click on. And just anywhere in this box, you can click on this specific thing down here to bring you straight into the workbook, or just to view the project overall, you can go here. Right? Since this project only has this one view we've published, that's the only thing we can see here. So let's go ahead and view this. Come on. There we go.
Okay, so once you're in here, you'll have all of those filters over there. Now, there's the defaults that Holly set up with, but you can go ahead and change those. So why don't you each go through and go ahead and change it to something. So Holly, go ahead and just make a couple of changes.
I want to see the high-end donations here, or higher end. Probably.
Wow, someone's optimistic. Okay. $1,000 donations.
I'm going to say $1,000 to $10,000 donations.
Okay.
That went up than what it was before. Okay.
All right. So it's high-end donations, and do you want to do it?
High-end relative to me.
Do you want to do any other changes there?
Just keep going.
Maybe do generation or
yeah,
or something.
Let's change income brackets. I was thinking. I don't know. Do generation. Let us, and because I just want to see that is very sad to look at. So I'm going to go and do boomer generation here.
All right, so high-end gifts by boomers.
Well,
all right, so this is with this gift date. So this is an important part. I want you all to pay attention now. So up here under where it says original view, go ahead and click on that.
I'm going to actually add one more thing.
Yeah.
An asterisk will be added right here next to original view if you make any change to the filters, or really any change to the workbook at all from how it was by default. This is Tableau recognizing that, hey, you made a change. You want to capitalize on that? And that's what we're going to do.
Yep, so go ahead and click on that. And now you're going to name your view. So this is just like it's analogous to in Razor's Edge. You're saving a query. So we're saving this query.
All right, I'm going to call this Boomer Gifts.
Call it Boomer Big Gifts. They're big gifts by boomers. And then you also have an option there to either make it default or make it public. So make it public so this means we can all see each other's.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, public
that we say.
Yeah, it means that really anyone who has access to this particular project folder will be able to view it. It's specifically what make it public means. You can also choose to make it your default, which just means when you open up this particular workbook again, it'll automatically bring you to this view. So then I can go ahead and save this.
Okay.
And if I just exit out of it, I'm just going to go back to the webinars folder, and we exit back in, or enter back in, excuse me.
I like exiting back in too.
We can see that, all right, original view, because I didn't specify for it to be my default view. But if we click down here, we can see that, all right, there's my views, which is the thing I created, but look at this. Look at this.
Ah, look, other people made stuff.
All right, I want to see Gen X over here.
Somebody asked a question. I would like you to show online versus offline donations. We do that via gift subtype.
I should have added in gift subtype into the default folder.
Yeah.
The default filters.
Somebody asked, how do you get back to the original view? Yep, so you can just click back
I can do
on there and go on original view, or you can, as Holly did when she went backwards to go forwards.
Yeah, so I'll show you both ways.
On home there on the far left. And
shortcut way is to just click here and click original view. Or navigating in Tableau server instead of hitting the back arrows to go back, you can go just click home or the project folder that you're in. Shows the go backwards to go forwards thing. And if you want to show gift subtype, well, I guess we can just publish another view.
Yeah, let's see if we got gift subtype. Depends if gift subtype has that in the...
So yeah, I'm going to go back to Tableau Desktop here. I think I remember seeing gift subtype, but that just could be me being optimistic. Haha! All right. Let's add all of these.
Computers is a gift subtype. I guess that was back when computers were a novel thing. I don't know.
Right.
There's no online versus offline in this case, but again, this is just the sample data.
All right. Gift subtype I feel is appropriate to drop underneath gift type. And
what happens if we publish over it?
Well, then it will overwrite this one, and you will get rid of others' views. So I don't want to do that.
Okay.
You guys have done good work over there. So instead, RE query on a map now with gift subtype. Okay.
All right.
Everything will stay the same.
She's publishing yet another workbook in there.
What's this other one? Maybe receipt. Okay. We're good. Can't tell if that's a... All right. Actually, are there any other fields you want added?
I think there's a request to add receipt stack.
Okay. 1 second. I don't want to lose my beautiful name. Okay. Receipt stack? All right.
You got
Oh, I
can.
All right. Let's see. Might have offline. See if that's on receipt type. Okay. Gift receipt.
Maybe do receipt type.
Okay. Add receipt. That has consolidated receipt and 1 receipt per gift.
I cancel that one.
That doesn't seem like it would be very helpful.
Try gift receipt.
Okay.
That's okay.
Okay.
I'm not sure where that is in the sample data. Just go ahead and publish it.
Okay.
We don't want to get too far in the weeds here. The point is, this is just an example of what you can do, and we can always, in your particular case, depending on the data that you have in your database, is going to be different. So these values would change, and you would have other things available there. All right.
Okay.
So if you all click back to the webinars folder or the project, you'll see that you have, dun, 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 now there's 2 workbooks. So let's go back to that first one again. Let's see what kind of cool things people have come up with in their views.
All right. DV view Gen X.
Just a couple of views. Was everyone able to log in? This is your chance. Do your homework. Log in and
all right,
do stuff. So DD view was looking at a certain gift amount, looking at female.
Women.
Yeah, women. And
women
within a certain gift amount.
Women who've given in the past 5 years.
Okay. $10,000 to $89,000.
Looks like this was dragged across.
All right.
Cool.
Let's see who else did a view.
Gen X. Oh, this one, the gift range was shortened.
Okay.
Quite a bit. We were just looking at certain gift types.
Yep.
With only Gen Xers.
Right.
Cool.
So the kind of stuff that you can do with this is that you can actually, again, depending on the workbook and depending on how much power you want to give your users, you can give your users the ability to basically query on RE the same way that you would. So if you want to, and of course you can always limit what they can see and not see, but you can give them now those same capabilities, a limited view to be able to create queries, save their own queries in here as these views, That's basically what you're doing. They're creating razor's edge queries. They're just happening to be doing it in Tableau. Wow. That sound was my head exploding with just how amazing it was.
Mind blown.
Yeah, mind blown, exactly. All right. Any questions? Of course, what we're looking at today is just a map. It doesn't have to be a map. It could be anything. It could be, you know, a bar graph, different kind of charts. We just chose a map today because it's easy visually to look at as you see those changes on there, those dots move around and stuff. So we thought for today's example, this would be a great way to visualize this. But yeah, you can really do any kind of chart in here. But really the idea is that you're thinking of the razor's edge queries rather than you defining up front what all those things are. You can maybe, you know, give some of that control to the end user and let it be more self-service. Yeah, that's really it. Unless anyone has any other questions.
I mean, I think we'll stick around till the end of the webinar for 8 minutes or so for any last-minute questions. But if not, thank you very much for attending.
All right. Thanks, everyone.